with a lot of respect to the Cabinet Secretary, also following what he said earlier, I think this kind of reactionary utterances by the Cabinet Secretary here now and the Cabinet Secretaries of before is actually the big problem. One, the Cabinet Secretary has actually alluded to something that is very critical. If the Cabinet Secretary says that he's got the intelligence of who these people are, why punish the entire population? Why move people? Just go for these persons, take them, and butcher them, instead of allowing the whole people to suffer. So for me, that is a very reactionary, non-thought-through process. Yesterday, I was privileged to watch Senator Manzo, who is neither a pastoralist and neither comes from the North Rift. This is what he said yesterday here in the studio. He said there is one big problem about the North. And the problem is that the people in the North have been marginalized to the levels where they are not even in the security system. How do you get intelligence, for example, from West Pokot, when you do not have a Pokot person within your system, or Turkana, or Samburu, or whatever? So you send somebody from wherever who does not even understand the language to come and gather intelligence. And I remember when we were with the Deputy President, this was actually raised. And we said, the people that they call the intelligence officer go and chest thump within the towns and tell people, you know, we are the ones that gather intelligence. So you need to know us. Intelligence is not gathered that way. Because if the Cabinet Secretary was true to his words, I do not believe that he was going to zone places and call them bandits on. He will have picked the bandits and taken them in. The fact that that has not happened basically tells you that the Cabinet Secretary is blowing hot hair. That is one.
But Mheshimiwa, these bandits, can they afford to operate on their own? Where are they getting the money? Where are they getting the firearms? Where are they getting their protection? Can they actually do this alone? I'm just asking.
Well, I think if we go to the history of banditry, these are communities that are pastoralist communities that have actually lived through times. And you can actually see this thing evolving from the traditional cut raids to something else. I do not think it is something that has been muted of late and then it becomes sophisticated. But I think it is actually going through a metamorphosis process. So I do not, by this time, personally believe that the bandits are actually protected. I do not believe so. If it was, then the intelligence will come that out and the people protecting them need to come out. I just believe that these are people that have been left by governments to fend for themselves and to protect themselves. There are no water in this region. If you actually look at the entire North, the big water dams are not done there, and yet that is the most deserving places. And so people fight on water, people fight about pasture, people fight about their social life and economic life. So it's basically they have been left onto their own to survive onto their own. They are actually not part of Kenya. What Natembeya, the provincial commissioner, who is now the governor of Trans Nzoia, said when he was here, he said one thing, and I think it is important for us as political leaders to also take that cue, that it is something different, and it is going to be hypocritical for us to believe that there is one community that is innocent amongst these people. All these communities are actually aggressors. All these communities are actually victims. So if we take it from that perspective and then we say, can we sit down and start not throwing blames? Because if we start throwing blames, everybody can be able to say, like he said, everybody can be able to say, this belongs to me, this does not belong to me, this belongs to him, this does not belong to him. Because what my sister said that there are places, they are expansionists. And I want to say, that might not be the direction we want to go. Why? Because, one, the issue of pastoralism is not on a straightforward borderline. Pastoralists move from one point to another one. And so I do not really think that we want to go into the issues to say there are people who want to expand. Because pastoralists move, and that is the nature of pastoralism. That's why we see Maasai's cows grazing in the city even now. It's not that because they belong to Nairobi or they own Nairobi. The issue of border between the Pokots and Turkana, for example, was taken to the courts in the year 2016. and the courts ruled on the border. And I think that was solved at that point.
Okay.
We cannot be able to say that is what is causing insecurity, because if that was it, then these cat rustling will have not been there during the colonial time when there were no borders.
Thank
so
you.
that is not the reason.
Okay, thank you.